It's live.
Are we live?
Yes. It's like 5 seconds in.
Oh my God, I didn't even know. Sorry, guys. Hey, we're talking about purpose today and the secret motive of every sign.
And the purpose of being live on time. And it's also someone's birthday today, Christopher. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hello, that's such a long note now. Hello, and welcome to Leading Out Loud, the show that takes things spiritual. I'm psychic astrologer, psychic and sensei to serious joy, Christopher Witecki, and I'm here with...
Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with scottcruzpm.com. How y'all doing? And Christopher, happy birthday. Is it birthday week? Because it's your whole week. I think you're taking a whole week of your birthday, I see.
I wish, yeah, I wish. I'm getting my wishes, though, I'll tell you that. No, it's my step birthday tomorrow, which is the step number
Tomorrow.
18, and then my actual calendar birthday is Friday.
Oh, interesting. So you're still taking the week, though, right? Sometimes I take a week. Why not?
I wish I could, but my heart's happy though. You know, I'm getting everything I want in life. For me, I have to be kind of on away from stuff to be able to really take a break. But I do
That's
celebrate my birthday. In fact, I'll tell you after we run here, I had a chart run. It was really impressive and different, and it shows who you need to get into 5D.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah,
That's really good.
My birthday, so I kind of give myself a really special gift. Yeah.
That is nice. We're kind of going to get into that in the show too, kind of like who the signs will be in 5 days. So we'll get to that later. So
exactly. And we're going to talk about actually secret motives that you may not know about. But first, we're going to do a psychic lightning round with my friend here, Scott Cruz. Scott, we're actually going to ask you each sign. And each time you hear a sign, we want to know this question that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind on this question: what will this sign learn next year? Aries.
Okay. Aries. What was Aries? Okay, to commit.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And what about Taurus?
To submit.
Oh, that's convenient. That's very convenient. What will this sign Gemini learn next year?
To express, actually.
All right. What will this sign Cancer learn next year?
To compress.
All right. This is going somewhere. What will the sign Leo learn next year?
Well, to back down, I would say with Leos.
To back down? That's interesting.
To back down. So they're taking a back seat in a sense and learning how to be the passenger.
Interesting. What will Virgos learn next year?
To rise up.
God help us.
Finally.
Yeah. What will Libras learn next year?
To purge. Libras need to purge this year.
This year or next year?
Well, this year, next year, we'll say within the scope of the year. Yes.
That's a long purge.
It's a long
What will
purge.
the Scorpios learn next year?
It'll take a long time to learn it. Scorpios to reemerge with love. I feel like, I'm trying to limit to a couple words, but I feel like reemerging with true love.
That's interesting. And Sagittarius will learn next year.
Reemerging with reality.
And what will Capricorn learn next year?
How to really creatively express. I really feel, and I'm just going to tag that a little bit. I really think Capricorn's going to have a burst of creative expression.
Like a renaissance.
Like a renaissance.
What will the Aquas learn next year?
To lead. Finally, to lead.
Probably true.
Yeah.
And lastly, what will the Pisces learn next year?
What's the opposite of overindulgence? I feel like they will understand balance more.
Interesting. All right. Well, we have other predictions also coming this year.
Yes.
And first we want to actually talk about what's going on with the weather, right? Astrologically and psychically, our read, if you will. How do you feel basically about the energy in the last week? We had, almost 2 weeks ago, we had a new moon. And actually that new moon felt very intense.
Yes.
Like a full moon, right? And since then, what have you seen with people around you?
I've been seeing with a lot of my clients too, a lot of reconsideration of things and the pressure, the heat has been turned up. I've been feeling that with myself personally too, with the past week, and the heaviness, right? And we've been saying this quite for a long time, so it almost feels like repetitive every time with the heaviness. But I definitely see my clients reconsidering things because of that heaviness. So in a sense, navigating. So I was saying the week prior too about taking navigation, and I really feel like people have been pushed because of heaviness to re-navigate, reconsider.
Well, I mean, the astrology story says that literally in the sense that, we kind of got rid of an old spiritual story in Pisces, and then I think we had to kind of do a hardware upgrade in Aries with our ego. And now that we're planting, Johnny Appleseeds. People may or may not be aware of it. Some people I think are kind of getting smacked in the face that they're heading the wrong direction.
Right.
It's, there's things, people getting fired, breakups, things like that. But that's always, but overall, it feels like a whole new world. I can't remember what day it was. It was after the new moon, but I woke up and it felt like I was in a different timeline. Like I wasn't in the same. Yeah. Did you have that too?
Well, I mean, literally, because I'm in a new state.
That's funny. That made it a little easier.
Literally and figuratively in a new state of being in a new state, literally.
That's true. Actually, about that. Yeah. Well, I feel it feels different. I felt first of all a light go on just because for Taurus, anyways, when the sun went from Aries to Taurus, I was just feeling warm. Finally, I was home finally because I think the whole trip around the sun this last year was really rough and bumpy. But it feels now, if I psychically move forward, it feels very calm, even though I know astrologically things are going to heat up.
Yes. Well, I've noticed within you've been more grounded. I've noticed you've been like grounding yourself a lot more.
Yes. hugging myself until I fall asleep crying. That's actually what it is. It's true. So yesterday, Venus at 3 degrees Aries, sextile Pluto 3 degrees Aries. And the thing about that is Pluto's retrograde. And so what that means is, Pluto's been making us wake up on the early degrees of Aquarius, which means that's really us waking up. That's the vibration. That's awareness. That's all of it. But 1 through 3 is inner awareness. So people now have gone to a higher vibration with their love of their self, how they feel about their self, and what they believe about their self. The believing is a big one because believing is one that you tend to want proof on, and we haven't had a chance to get proof on it yet. So at the end of the day, we all have to really stay strong and believe in ourselves no matter what, and just close the story, don't question it at all until further notice.
I concur. I definitely concur. And I think that's a lot of people are repositioning themselves to understand that note, right? Like that pressure's on, relationships are gone, the jobs are gone. So like now they're forced into saying, I do have to like, my voice is the only thing I have. So yeah, I concur 100% with that and that navigation.
Well, I don't know.
That's what you said, right?
In the old days, yeah, it was. But in the old days, I don't know. I couldn't stop questioning. I could never really, stop picking at. Is it all right? Am I correct? Over and over again. Now in this, I'm like, okay, fuck it. You just lay down the law. It's interesting to feel the strength over time. We have Mercury crossing Chiron this week on 24 Aries. The significance of that. 24 Aries is sort of relationship to the future, relationship to others. So we sort of set the tone for what relationships will be. Like it has to be elite kind of thing. And the mind will be on board. That's a huge upgrade too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, from where we are. And then we have Mercury entering Taurus on Saturday. Thank God. It just get me out of that crazy Mercury and Aries. My head's everywhere. Yeah. But the real headline for us this week is going to be, we have a full moon in Scorpio at quantum step 22, okay? And together, this is how it works. The metaphysics of that are deadly in the sense that it will end something for good. 22, first of all, is chaos. It's where emotions, but it opens up for Aquarius, and so it turns into a multi-dimensional sort of portal thing. In fact, if you know how to bang those emotions correctly, you can open vortexes and portals. It's very magic-like. It's the highest version of Aquarius. It's a Grandmaster Aquarius, what it is. And it's in Scorpio. Well, Scorpio is the veil between life and death. So you've got like this magic right on the side of the other line. You can change things, definitely, and probably cut away from something that's not good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I that's great. You want me to concur? Do you want me to add to that? No, I agree.
Do you feel chaos coming? I don't know. I mean,
I felt like the chaos has been here. Like we've been like kind of like breaking down a lot of this, I would say, old structures of things. I've been getting the Tower card a lot when I utilize tarot in my reads, and the Tower card isn't always devastating, isn't always catastrophic, but it definitely is a re-enlightening. A lot of times when I pull the Tarot card in conjunction to my reads, you see that lightning bolt, Christopher? That's all enlightenment. So I find a lot of people re-enlightening their positionings. And so, yeah, I totally see that. So there is some chaos with that too, but moving ahead, I think that really repositions people to, chaos could also be great too. It means that you're creating new ideas. Right. And so I do feel that on the brink as well. And so a lot of repositioning is that. So I
Yeah.
agree, but I think more collectively, Christopher. I don't know how you feel like collectively. I think individually, a lot of people will be feeling very centered and driven, but I also feel collectively things will be very, very scattered and chaotic collectively.
Well, that's what I mean. To kind of jump ahead a little bit, it seems that this summer is when things start to boil, and
Yeah.
the reason is that the vibration of the Earth is going up, whether you like it or not. It's going up, and if you stay heavy, you just feel heavier and heavier. So
Right.
there's a day
True.
effect and a pressure. But really, it looks like in Taurus, you sort of decide, okay, this is the shape of the world I want, and then Gemini, you're like, I got to think differently to get there. Cancer, I got to feel differently to get there. Leo, I got to love differently to get there.
Right.
And Virgo, I'm there.
Right.
So to me, it's a transition, and some of us will be going up an escalator, and some of us will be going down. I think, energetically, and I think some people just don't know how to emotionally cope with things like this, and that's where being intuitive is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree. But we were just talking about before the show too. Like, I think a lot of people we've been so emotionally lazy for a while because we have a lot of things that are accessibility that now, life is kind of forcing us to feel and to make those decisions from the heart. Because we've been talking about like this is gonna be a year of really coming from the heart. And so I've seen with every different sign that they are finding different ways to utilize that heart and to create a movement for themselves. So again, like I always see this chaotic energy as a way to fuel that heart and that passion. And so I'm so happy to see a lot of my clients picking up on those clues finally.
Well, I mean, usually a little something chaotic happens. You know what I mean? Like, and chaotic is not a bad thing. Chaos is not bad. I mean, look at the Big Bang. That's crazy chaos.
Amazing chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think chaos is how God does it. And that's the point. Being in chaos, it's just very uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Like, my heart starts pounding. I start worrying about things, and so I have a hard time still staying grounded for those things because
Sure.
I'm picking up on everyone's emotions at the same time. And
Right.
I'll tell you, there were some trials of air, trial rites of passage actually the last 2 weeks where so much was coming at me, and I just tried to stay the course. And just staying the course was a huge concentration, but I did it, so I see a progress. But I think this moon basically is going to be, you take the moon, all the emotions. Moon is 2. So moon, the 2 in the sign of 0. You know what I mean? Like something's going to get flushed down that 0, I'll tell you right now. And that means I think you ultimately just kind of go, he's dead to me. Like, suddenly you just emotionally, because that's the Aquarius and Scorpio together. Aquarius like, I'm over it, and Scorpio's like, and we're done, like cuts it cord,
Yeah.
So I think it's really the last rope holding us on to the old story.
It's interesting you said too, because I was going to ask you, like, don't you feel people not even just physically are tired, but just figuratively just tired of it, like tired of the patterns, tired of the repetition? Because I've been seeing that lately too. People are physically tired and just tired of whatever they've been dealing with, So I've been sensing that a lot too.
And we're paying attention to how much energy we give to stuff. And I keep going, is this because I'm getting old or because I'm waking up? But I'm noticing that I have just put way too much energy into stupid stuff, that I don't know why. I think it's karma or fear, something subconscious that made me like just keep cycling in that thought pattern or that behavior. And you sort of get to a point where you're just like, this is boring. There's something to gain from it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that, and I just want to add to before we move on too about what you're saying, that sometimes we need to overindulge, and sometimes spirits like overindulge, get it out of your system, right? You're going to learn from this, get it out of your system. And as long as you're objective doing that process and have those bumpers, I think that you'll understand, you'll purge karma in more of a lightning fast, pace, because sometimes we do have to purge.
Yeah. Thank you for enabling me because I love to indulge. I love to indulge, and you just enabled me officially on TV. It's great. So that's Taurus' secret. I mean, that's what we do. We do indulge, kind of thing. We do. Then we get sick of it, and we move on to a new thing. But well, that said, I think we have a little message here for our viewers, and it deals with you, Scott. Is that could still happen, or we need to roll tape?
Well, no, I'm just gonna just kind of promo my live show tomorrow. Promo for tomorrow. There's a lot going on in the world of astrology, and it's good to work with me directly, and that's part of the script. But off script, tomorrow's my live show called Live Readings and Check Dimensions of Spirit. I'm going to talk about the different levels of spirit because many people just are not really aware, the different types of spirit and spiritual archetypes. So I'm going to discuss the different levels of such and how to connect with that as well. And we're doing live readings during that show tomorrow, as always, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're shy, just want to book a personal one-on-one session with me, of course, it's always scottcruzpm.com. But join me tomorrow. It's a great community of people. They're loyal in the chats and very funny, kooky. If you want to unwind and have a couple rants here and there, join me tomorrow.
It's very good. It's chill out TV. Yeah, it's very good. I used to watch your show. I watch your show every week when I was working. I mean, I would do both at once, but you were what was on. I was reading the comments and saying hi to people. It's a good vibe to hang out. I mean, I think it's interesting how the internet's turning into like TV slash Zoom slash,
Right? I know, it's crazy.
yeah, it's a whole new, lifestyle. So, all right. Well, we're going to get into our topic today, purpose. We're going to get into the idea of what is the purpose for each sign. And basically, this is important. Why, Scott?
Why is what important?
Okay. It's important because it's one of the most questions asked by our clients. I mean, for me, it's the number one question I get from a client. What's my purpose?
It is the one more question, but purpose is, again, I always like to say purpose is expression, right? And so, and it's important to understand this because sometimes people think purpose is career. Sometimes people think purpose is a relationship or a physical tangible. I would say purpose is a theme. And when you understand the theme, and then of course we can express that there's so many different physical modalities. So we should focus on what is the theme, and that's the purpose, and then you'll find your own ways of expressing it.
The theme is the purpose, which you're basically saying the purpose is just to be yourself.
Well, of course, be yourself, but we have different ways of doing that, right? So we all incarnate with karma that says maybe being someone's self is to stand up, or someone's theme, their purpose would be they need to shut up, right? So there's different modalities of being ourselves, and that usually is the theme. And so with my clients, I find the theme, and then I go into how it will physically manifest in their life.
Well, I think, purpose can, well, first of all, different people in different cultures have different ideas for what purpose is. Hinduism, it's dharma, which is your duty based on your role in society, which is true. Like, this is what you've come to be as a pizza man. Buddhism says it was based on the teachings. I didn't know that. I didn't know dharma. We never called it dharma in my Buddha. My teacher, my sensei, but that's interesting. And then there's, let's see, existentialism actually says, and this is Jean-Paul Sartre, believe that life has no meaning except what you give it. Find fulfillment through passion, relationships, and growth. So yeah, we make the meaning. I guess he's saying we give it the meaning.
Well, I believe we do so prior to incarnating, right? And then sometimes it's our job to explore that. So to me, I always think all of it's true. I always say it's this and that this or that, but I think that's also true.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think all of it's true, honestly. I think that, if you're stuck scrubbing a toilet, you try to give it some meaning. You want everything to have meaning. You want everything every minute to have, like some reason why you did it.
To get that dong off that bowl. That's my purpose,
Yeah. And sometimes I've asked, and they're like, I don't know why I do that. It's like, okay. Well, I also think in astrology, purpose ultimately is a root intention you were born with. And that root intention you're born with is something your soul needs to experience, solve, heal, something like that. So there is some sort of a spiritual agenda, clearly, and we can read that in a chart.
100%.
Yeah, and that, I think, and that's what makes, multi-lifetimes cool.
Right. Well, that's why I call it that a theme, right? Because we have a certain theme, and I think that it lightens the tone for people to understand. Well, if my theme is to be, to use my voice, well, then they can be creative, and not all that might be laid out. They be creative. How do you express their voice this lifetime, right? So, I think if we start with the theme first, it helps people to understand they can find their creative expression to it. So.
Well, that's certainly one way. I mean, actually, with people who don't know anything about their purpose, that's where I'd start. You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%.
Getting to know yourself. For me though, I was born knowing. 100%. I swear, I knew. I'm actually on course. I mean, this is like thought of by me probably at like age 25. I thought I'd get it at 26. I mean, I was super naive, but like for some reason, and I'm the only person. I do readings after readings after readings, and no one seemed to be born knowing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I talk to people, but very rarely, so it's something special.
Have you noticed too? Because I've kind of noticed that there's two people. There's people that planned their purpose in a sense, and people haven't. And I find that people planned it like you and I. If we don't follow it, we feel tortured. And the people that need to create as they go, if they're not creative, they feel lost. Mm-hmm. I've noticed there's two types of people that I read, and I've seen people that have their theme, but they didn't really lay out how they're going to express it. So they're here to discover it. So I tell a lot of people watching, if you feel lost, you're here to be very creative in your process of expressing it.
Yeah, well, because you're going to know yourself. That's clearly the purpose. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes it is the purpose. I know I've spent lifetimes doing nothing. Just eating and enjoying things. I need more. My purpose is to enjoy.
Being fanned and being fed grapes by these beautiful women. Is that was your lifetime?
Maybe in Greece, but at the end of the day, I'm in Rome. I'm acting like a Roman. That's how I am, and I like being that way in Earth.
Yeah.
Well, same sort of thing. Astrology has a lot of places to look for purpose. Ultimately, the big are first in the step system, the step astrology system that we use, the first purpose is to get to the top of the staircase. You've got to climb the steps, and that means you have to apply consciousness and get good at different parts of yourself. And until you do that, you're not going to get anything you want. So that's sort of a fundamental elementary purpose, is to learn how to like your powers, basically.
Right.
But then there's other things. The midheaven pretty much tells us what you'll be known for. So that might be tied to your purpose, but it's a clue. It certainly helps you choose one or the other. If you have something else as your idea, midheaven will kind of tell you which way it's going to lean. And you are here to literally achieve the midheaven step number and learn it at some point. I would say I have learned it at my age. That's where I'm at. I'm finally applying it. The North Node is sort of like the direction winds are blowing. And North Node is really what you have to do to get your purpose done. So people think North Node is the way. Nope, it's the way in the sense of chi. It's not the way in the sense of over there,
Right.
So it tells you kind of how to chi. And then, of course, the step number of your sun tells you tremendous. So I'm here to be committed to my heart and act on everything I want. And that's exactly what I do, like a child that makes his own stuff. But we can learn from Saturn, like, what has been important to you in the past. Like whatever your Saturn is, that you took that pretty seriously. And that tells what you maybe were looking at when it comes to purpose, is just where your Saturn happens to be. And then there's obvious purpose. Wherever Pluto is, you'll fall in that hole if you don't figure it out. So it's in a way it can throw you off your purpose. So you can see kind of the landmines that throw you off.
Interesting. So just off top, like on topic, just question. So my Saturn's in Scorpio. What does that mean?
Your purpose is to draw lines like you do with me every week.
Right,
it
baby.
What degree is that? What degree is that?
I don't know. I don't know the degrees. You would know that more than me. You probably have to pull my chart up, but I always wondered what that meant. With that being that my
that means
Saturn
that you're an authority of boundaries, and authority of boundaries means that you're extremely good at compared to the rest of the population as far as how to draw a line and maintain a line. And it's very common people who are authorities of boundaries to have a childhood where their boundaries are constantly crossed, because that's what actually gives them the hyper awareness of where the line is. They're really reliving old times and getting acquainted with their talent.
Well, that matches my past, huh? My past trauma, as you know, right? So
yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think that may look like something bad happened to you, but the truth of the matter is, any master or any authority had to learn the hard way.
100%.
Yeah, and they had
I would
to.
say that those traumas are like notches on my belt. Like I would do it again, because of what I reaped from it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of lately, not to go too off on a tangent, but life is changing. Like I literally am seeing things differently now, all of a sudden. It's just all coming together in a bigger picture, and one of the things that's come really clear is just how much this reality doesn't exist. Like this reality does not exist. We are in heaven, meditating down. Most of our light body is not here. This is a projection of our imagination. You and I are having a great conversation in a dream. And we forget that. We forget that it's not real. I mean, or we don't realize it. Now I do believe in heavenly God, and I do believe in spirit and all these things. But I do also believe that we sort of made this up, to learn. That's like a learning school. And so I've taken things way too seriously, is what I'm saying. Like that's one of my birthdays.
And that's I was gonna say that's why it's good to emphasize that. Not that it's not real, it's just that we have dominion over it. We have dominion over the physical. Like we're projecting this, so we have the dominion over it. So we don't have to be so serious. You don't have to be in so much fear, because if we are in heaven, I always like to use like the scuba mask, that we're kind of like scuba diving or snorkeling underwater, and that we're still dictating what we're viewing. And so I think it's a wonderful thing, but we should still take it for real, like, you know what I mean? Because it's still our real expressions. But yeah, remind yourself that we have dominion over it, and that takes a wonderful thing to recognize.
I look at it as enjoy the ride, because in heaven it's just our head. We're just in our mind. So close your eyes. That's heaven. It's like it says pretty much you now, but your eyes closed. Although having more awareness and connection to everyone. And I feel boring. It's boring up there. It's boring. That's why we do all this incarnation shit. It's much more entertaining than our actual natural state. So yeah, take full advantage of it. Take it seriously. I mean, you ordered it. It's like if you ordered this custom life that you can go, in virtual reality and go live. That's kind of how it is, from what I understand. We pretty much decide, hey, I want to learn this, I want to learn this. You just, I agree with most of your choices there in that first round. But we come down to learn stuff, and then when we don't learn, we just insert ourselves back in and learn some more.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to understand that there's no limitation of that too. Like, you and I talk about all the time. People say, "Oh, this is my last incarnation on Earth." I'm like, you might evolve, go to a different dimension, and come back down to Earth to play again. So, we're not so regimented like that either with our experiences. And I don't know. Have you ever had where you had dreams where you feel like you're attending to another lifetime that you keep going back to? Because I feel like I
Oh
have
yeah,
dreams sometimes where like I feel like I'm living another life that I keep
you
going
are.
back to my dream state, you know? So I think we have so many different variables of such that I think when we tune into how expansive we really are, like you said, in heaven looking down and this is our playground, then we understand there is no limitation of what we can do with it.
No limitation. I mean, you can become the sun. The sun is an old ass soul that just
Hmm.
kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and
Right.
allegedly is gigantic and ancient. To grow that big. So you go to heaven, you're a little spear of light.
Yeah.
Far from the sun. So
Yeah.
it's interesting how you have unlimited possibilities. But there's also interesting stories too about how it all works. I mean, we can go on forever. And we should. But with the signs, they're hidden motives. I think that's a cool question. A lot of complexity with it.
Yeah.
And do we want to go to commercial first before we talk about the signs? I think we
Yeah.
should.
Let's do it. Take a quick break.
Please.
Unite the light.
We were told the world works a certain way.
Oh, I think
Chase success, play the game, follow the rules. But what if the game is rigged? What if your power was never really lost, just misplaced? Soul Capitalist isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call, a roadmap for reclaiming your power and rewriting your story on your own terms. Because changing the world doesn't start with a movement. It starts with you. It starts with creating a world that reflects your highest self. Soul Capitalist is a guide back to your truth, a call to awaken your inner power and lead from the light within. Soul Capitalist, how to take back your power and change the world. Available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Oh, that was nice, actually, in the sense that, like, it was. I mean, I know you. I saw what you're typing, but that's people who show up and give money, man. That's so humbling, on the receiving side of it.
Yeah.
You want to like say thank you, in a
Yeah.
way that swift, that swift and goes by relatively quick. So no, I'm teasing, but
My
those
frame
are
rate could have been doubled, but yeah, we get it. I'm kidding.
no, it is a lot, man. I'm always honored. I mean, when someone's like, I just want to donate,
That's
you're like,
great.
"Hey, what? I don't understand. I'm a Taurus. There got to be something I can do for you. But no, it's really, how
But
people can.
that's also conscious capitalism too, because you donate, you help somebody else, they promote you, so it's a win-win, and I think we need to learn how to be more of that, with our community. So I think it's a
Totally.
wonderful
I think
exchange.
it's amazing. I think to say, I think it's great to say, I like what you're doing. Here's some money, and that's
Right.
right. I like to say when people are good. Like it's almost like a statement. Like you're telling everyone they should know that how much I appreciate this, and
Right.
I think I'm in good company. They're putting a
Yeah.
reputation on you. They're saying I think I'm in good company here. That's
It's
really also
endorsement.
yeah, totally. But we've Unite the Light coming around the corner, dude. And I just heard in a break you might be one of the hosts. And that's going to be the biggest audience will be the people watching digitally and streaming.
Yeah.
We today. It's going to be really good, and it's exciting for our company because we're like live TV. Being able to cover our own event, it's really exciting, and the event is amazing, dude. We scored Robert Edward Grant. I don't know if you know who he is or his work.
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine you did, but we don't talk on that level usually. About other light workers, we're always talking about ourselves. But
I know how to gather them up. Yeah, he's wonderful with, especially with his, he does music too, new music theory. So that's something we have in common, and sacred geometry, and I like his philosophies.
I like him too. He's a Taurus. We got along extremely well. Although it was like get job done, both two Taurus like let's get the job done. But just learning about him, he's all about self love first. He thinks that's the premise of everything. I was like, fuck, that's what I say. So you get in your silos of creating. But fascinating guy. He's created basically an encryption that's quantum encryption. He talks about it. This thing called Orion is a device where you can own your own data. There's a lot of helping people be safe in that regard. But he keeps discovering stuff in Egypt that no one knew. He's finding stuff that time. So great guy. But also we're gonna have other guests too that are talking about what they've done. Two people who have invented amazing stuff off of spirituality. So that's gonna be really cool. And huge panels too, man. So I hope it's gonna be fun. Actually,
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I couldn't make it because we couldn't find dog sitters, so we don't know anybody in Nevada. So it'll be great I can come digitally now. So I look forward to that, being part of that.
No, it's great because you can watch over. We'll have basically a big Zoom room for people to come and just hang out, and we'll be broadcasting the signal into there so people can chat, get to know each other, and also see a lot of backstage interviews, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna blow people's mind. I mean, the panel on the three entities that come and talk and debate. Seriously. Yep.
So you got Wendy Kennedy, we have Kristen Miller with Mary Magdalene, and what is the guy who does Saint Germain, right?
He does Archangel Metatron's coming.
Metatron, yeah. What is his name? Gunther, I think I saw.
Good, yeah. Now you're making me go. Gauthier.
Okay, thank you. I'm new to him, so I saw the three channels that's pretty unique. So,
well, I saw him do Archangel Metatron, and I'm like, yes, that is what I feel when I hear, because Metatron comes in for me. I don't ask him in very often because he's so intense,
right?
And he was saying the same thing, so it was like, holy shit, that's what I experienced, too. And so, but he's like, I haven't done Metatron in a while. I'm like, why? Because he sort of makes me clean up my life really fast. I'm like, fuck. That's exactly. So I put him on. Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna have all three of them in full trance, right? So they'll be in there. They'll be channeling, and the three entities coming forward: Mary Magdalene, Archangel Metatron, and the Palladians. Okay, a Palladian council basically that comes in. Several souls that speak as one. We're all going to talk about, will Earth make it? And of course, we think Earth will make it. That's just a hook line.
Right.
But also, it's actually also serious. Like, will we make it to the life we want, the happiness we want? Will we make it? Like, from angel, from alien to Mary, basically Jesus' wife and partner, which is also interesting. It's like
right.
But for wives of dead saints, so that's kind of funny.
Right.
But anyways, it's interesting. So it's unitethelight.love to get tickets. Unitethelight.love. And the last thing I'll just say, and we'll move on, of course, is that I think it's an important moment. I really, looking at the astrology, if we're going to organize as light workers, which we need to, because, when things get crazy, I mean, thinking about if we could have all had each other's phone numbers when COVID happened. Yeah. I wonder if we could have had someone to talk to right away, or a group of people you knew had your back right away, and light workers are out kind of on the fringe. Like, we get picked apart and we don't even know it, because it's been such irony. We're so out there trying to bring people together. We're not brought together. Right.
It's true.
But I'm concerned about our future. And I'm concerned about being protected, because sometimes industry can turn on you. And it's like, I think we have to have each other's back now. So it's important.
And I've excitingly feel that that's where things are heading, based on the reads, the conversations I'm having, and just seeing people who are not light workers, how they're seeking more outside of the box. So I'm starting to see that happening. I'm starting to see that pattern and going that direction. It'll take time, but I definitely feel it's in process for sure.
Well, I was thinking, Pluto hits 4 degrees next year, and 4 is a Grandmaster degree of Aquarius. The last time Pluto hit Grandmaster 4, the United States won the war, and we became a democracy.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's how powerful of a shift it was. And it was a huge, powerful shift because it was like, they never had freedom of press, all this stuff. Never imagined even owning land. That was why they got on a ship, risked it. Was the first place. So it was quite a paradigm shift. Like, everything changed from there. Yep. And here we are again. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We know it's a new era, but I think it's faster than we think. Right.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I know people think things are going down the tubes. I'm like, yeah, it's an illusion. We're not set. It's a purging right now that we're doing collectively, and I actually feel a huge push forward actually, and I've been feeling that for a long time. That's
Well,
what you feel, and I know you feel the same thing. You and I've been like, emphasizing it's not Armageddon. It's not Armageddon. I know it seems like it, but it's not.
well, you have to come to a conclusion on your own that it's not. Like that's the war. It's a frequency, discrepancy. Some
right.
people are like, do I live in this fear a lot? Do I live in the fear? Do I live in the pain? Do I live in this? Which means you're basically going to be a slave to something that's doing it because it's not
Right.
natural Earth. The shit that's been happening is not natural Earth. That's not how it cycles. Atlantis had better luck, and they sank. Than all the tropical storms and things we're having. We're manifesting it to some degree, or it's happening to us. But the point is like, that's only because enough people also are allowing it, right?
Right.
And so that's what the frequency. I think it's a frequency race. I think we're racing to be the number one frequency on the earth. And I think one is a very high, happy one, and one's a very entrapped, fearful one. And we've been the fearful for 20,000 years. So if anything, just give the other one a try, But shaking off your dark is not easy.
What the hell? Just try it out. It's easy.
Yeah, that's what I say to my clients. It's like, well, you've been doing the same thing for 60 years. Has it worked? No. Well, then why don't we try
Right.
something today,
Well, and that's to say about intuition. Like, consider it. Consider intuition. Well, I don't know if it's me making it up. I'm like, you're making it up, but at least consider it. You're not going to fall into a pit of doom if you just consider your intuition and follow it a little bit. So
Yeah, totally. And you have to test that out.
yeah. Yeah,
People-
but people think like if they test it, somehow like life's going to crumble. Like your life is crumbling now. Perhaps considering it might actually be a breath of fresh air and a light at the end of the tunnel. So
The truth is that your intuition, if you are making it up, that's your intuition guiding you. Where'd you get that idea that you made up? That's the thing. It's like, well, I just came up with this idea. Oh, you did? Just out of nowhere, it popped in your head. It's like, pointing out where it comes in. It's right there. You didn't think about it before. You're thinking about hash browns. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what happens. It's like, you think that you're a creative genius. You just think of this random thing while you're eating hash browns.
and
Like,
I like how you said that because I would say it all comes from imagination, but imagination has two parts: you receive and you create. So you should understand when you're receiving something that's coming from spirit, and when you're creating, you're intentional. Like I intentionally thinking about this, so then you understand it's a creative mode. But if it just plops in, that's receptivity. You're receiving. That's inspiration. That's your intuition.
although I think something that's complicated about this is when the intuition comes in, your imagination draws the picture. It doesn't bring in like some other guy's imagination.
Right.
Like it refers to your library, your way of seeing things, your creativity. And that's why it's so goddamn confusing at first because you're like, wait, well, it kind of felt like something I would do. You know what I mean? Like it looked like something I would do. And you realize, oh, stuff is talking in our language. They will pull symbols that mean only something to me.
Right.
There's a a million words behind that symbol. And
Right.
so you're getting symbols that are really your language. But you realize if you didn't sit there and want to have that thought come in your head and it did, then it came from somewhere else.
Right. And I think people also forget too that you also bring up and resurrect and illuminate parts of your DNA that has past life incarnational information about yourself too that come up too. And things that you've done, the talents and skills that you had before, the powers you had before, that comes up too. There's a knowing to things like, oh, I've been here before. So that knowing pops up too. And so you have to understand that dynamic as well, And so I find a lot of that. Like, how do I know how to do that in this lifetime? Or how do I have this ability? Or how do I have this really, really irrational fear? It's like past shit. It's all within your DNA,
I was so happy when I realized that irrational fear was actually a past life. And that because I thought I was just going fucking crazy. Like, where's this come from? My God, you really don't know. And you're like, I was normal 2 minutes ago. Now I'm like a kid,
Right.
And then you realize, oh, that's because in your past life, that's what happened. And that movie
Yep.
tricked. Oh, shit. Okay. I can relax now. And you start to accept yourself. I mean, this is an amazing world, guys. I mean, going forward, and then we're going to do the 12 signs, but, we now have, we have mystics so good. I can say, can you tell this person in heaven? And boom, we're on the phone with them. You're talking to them right now.
Yeah.
We have alien civilizations endorsing our thing this weekend. Like an alien situation is coming in, they have to ask permission. They ask. I mean, Wendy asked, like, hey, can we do this? You think it's the right thing to do? And they're like, absolutely. Right. So
Right.
that's just a crazy new reality, a new world, right? Which is a good segue because one of the things we've been noticing is the signs are changing.
They're changing. They are changing. And
They are
so let's see what their new purpose is, shall we? Get into that?
Well, I think the game or the analysis is it the hidden motive? Is that what we're going with, or the hidden purpose? Okay,
Well, the true purpose. The true purpose.
Well, true as in now or before? I mean, so
the evolved purpose, right? The evolution of the signs. How about that?
Okay, fair enough. So, what was their original purpose?
Do you want to go do both? The original,
yeah,
and then the new purpose of the transformation.
100%. So we'll do Aries, the current purpose and the new era purpose.
Let me see here. Let me warm up. I think what I feel with Aries is more of an individualized purpose to understand, the individualized voice, right? But to understand they're correct. And I think a lot of times they haven't really gotten much validation how correct they are. And so now they get to understand how correct they are, but now it's time to use their voice and to commit to certain things outside the scope of their regimen. So that means I feel more heart-based, projections with their moving forward. It means putting the heart into the career, not their thought processes, not their experience, putting the heart into the relationships, not trying to manage relationships or what's, going to be good because it pleases them. So I feel like before is to understand their voice and where they stand from and stand firm in their voice and perspective, but now it's to understand how to lead from the heart. So I feel like they're going to be really much connected into being heart focused in their relationships and allowing themselves to be vulnerable and then commit because of that, not because of circumstance or logic.
Well, yeah, I hear that completely. I got it. I see the arc. And live a heartfelt life. I don't know if I buy that one. I just don't know. They're like the most material, not like Taurus material, but like sensational is the word. They're the most.
Let me explain. I mean, that's what they're being encouraged to look at because they're not doing that. So that's why I feel like they're being pushed to. The purpose should be, right? Yeah. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm saying that's why I feel like they need to be doing the new purpose in the new era.
Well, I can tell you, they're not doing it.
No.
No, right now, not the ones I know. Well, I think that the ultimate motive of Aries and the step system is I act, I am. Like they're here to act and see who they are. They want to witness themselves. They want to look at themselves. They want to grow themselves, and they act by doing it to get there. But I think that through all the different ages, it actually then became like to have the biggest.
Yeah.
It's like always have the biggest and live off that for a second. And then have the next biggest, and the smartest or the first or this, that, and they throw it away as soon as the attention's over, and they go after something, superlative. Right. I think the secret hidden motive that never told you is they actually just wanted a nap. Like,
what?
They're pretty lazy, even though they act, lazy in the sense that they'd rather hang out in the shade than have to work. Like, they don't want to work. They really don't want to finish the job. They don't want to get anything. So the secret motive is like they want a break. They don't want to do the thing they're claiming they can do best. In the new era, I actually feel like it's that they. Their purpose now is to be the heroes of the next world, and so they want. I think they'll be the ones to try it. They'll, So if we have if we have a transporter and a fly gets stuck in there, that'll be an Aries that becomes a half fly, because an Aries will be the one that tries it. You know what I mean? Like I think Aries will try these things when we don't have the courage, and then they'll be like, holy shit! Like that's right. There's a lot more. You know what I mean? Like so there's an interesting thing there, and I think they, because Aquarius for them is the 11th house. It's like society. Right. They're going to play this one out in public, whatever it is. They're going to play it out in public. Yeah. All right. Be kind. Taurus.
Well, I think Taurus, their purpose was to, again, I mean, let's be kind of typical with the sign, because especially a lot of my other Taurus friends, they were to dabble into just experiment a lot, I feel, right? And so their purpose was to find themselves through experimentation. And I noticed that through a lot of my other Taurus friends and those I've seen, that they've just been kind of like dabbling so many different things and purposely failing, even though they may not know that's intellectually, but spiritually, I'm going to try this, but it's going to fail. I'm going to try this, but it's going to fail. Let me try another way. So I really feel right now, coming from the bull out of in the China shop energy, Taurus will start finding like, I get it. It's not all this, it's this. And I think that's really going to be more revering of the self now, the new purpose of Taurus. Really understand their true spotlight, where they come from, in that, and how they mingle with their own spotlight, whatever avenue that might be for them. And so I think the new purpose is to really understand the importance of their own effectiveness with other people and moving forward. So I'm kind of tailoring that to you a little bit too, because I want you to hear that, because I want it to blend with you. But I'm seeing that across the board with Taurus energies, because they've done a lot for people, but like not fully where they're invested for themselves and doing for other people. It's always been about everybody else, not so much about them. And so I think it's going to be more about them now.
I concur. I mean, we can talk about why, but I feel the old motive of Taurus was to grow. To grow this, to grow that, and grow fat. Like that's what we are. We just like to grow. Or we like to just see things grow, or build things, or watch things grow. So we're just obsessed with growth, which is manifestation, I think. I think our secret motive was we really wanted to consume. We really wanted to eat, try things, and you said to try. I might have a saying, I'll try anything twice. because the first time I might have been in a bad mood, you know. So we like to try things, consume things, analyze it for what it's worth and not it's worth. That's what we get obsessed with. But I think you're right. I mean, I feel like the new motive of Taurus now is to build a new world. Like finally we have something cool to build. You know, that's the way I see it. But we have Pisces in the house of society, so whatever we build is spiritual. It's holy. You know, and I think it's what people don't know about Taurus is they're very spiritual.
Well, very spiritual, but also very, very, I would say, empathetic. You know, they generally want to help people. They generally want to, connect with like, even just culture. I find a lot of my even Taurus friends that I've noticed too, they love culture. They love, just different as of being with different people and people even outside of their realm of what their norm is. And so that to me, I always find Taurus to be inspiring to me because they're always outside the box too. I love that.
That's because we built the box.
The Aquarius built the box. You guys, are finding a way out of it.
I think you gave us the concept of this thing called the box, and then we built it for you. That's what I'm saying. All right, so Geminis. Now Geminis are interesting because they're in a mode of change right now. Jupiter's going to wrap up in their sign, so by July you're going to see a new Gemini, I think. And when Geminis change, it's trippy because they just suddenly played the new character, and you're like, wait, who replaced you? Is this a soap opera? Like there's someone new, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. They like don't compute whatever the old one was. It's weird. Watch it, guys. It's going to happen. So, what do you think about Geminis and their primary motive?
Well, the primary motive too, like I think Geminis were very much, and I find it different with men and women, because I feel like women was really about, kind of leading in a sense, right? And guiding and just being very kind of, heading in a direction of this is where I should be taking the lead. And I feel men was very explorative, and so I always feel Gemini men and women are very different with their energy. So I feel like with Gemini men, I feel like they're going to be forced into seriousness. They'll be forced into commitment. They'll be forced into having to make, decisions that really are coming from, from truth and honesty, not from scatteredness. So I feel like, and then with women, they're going to be pushed to really start doing for themselves, actually, and not leading for other people, being more, I would say, independently focused. And so, and that could lead to creative expressions. That could lead to, starting new businesses for women. For men, I just feel like, that could lead toward, building a home, building a family, settling down finally, right? But understanding the balance of such. So I really feel it is a huge change in that regard, different with the men and the women.
Oh yeah, first of all, men and women are definitely different. I mean, I feel more nurtured by a man Gemini than I do a female Gemini. It's just kind of funny how they're inside out like that. And it's always interesting to see what program they're running. I think their old motive was always to think. They love thinking. They love it. They have Leo in that house. They just love it. They love it so much they'll ignore everything else, their body, their weight, everything, just so they can think about it. But I think, that was their primary, I think, in step astrology. But also I think knowing them better is they want to comprehend. They just love comprehension. When they get an idea and they understand it, they like fall in love with how smart that idea is. Personal glee is like, oh my God, this is such a cool idea or a cool name. And they sort of like, kind of, fangirl on words. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I think where they're going now is that their primary motive is to be somebody. I think that they have not, they've been always in the background, the sidekick or whatever. I'm talking about for 50 or 60 years. I mean, I don't know how far back. I mean, hell, JFK and Marilyn Monroe are both Geminis, and they were cool as shit, but I don't see Geminis like that anymore, Right. I think Geminis kind of fell out of their fun. And so they're, they're also incorporating faith and other voices besides logic.
Yeah.
So they're listening to other parts of themselves for the first time.
Oh, I totally agree. And I would just say like Geminis as a whole are just like busybodies to me. Like, and then they realize how maybe they've been so distracted being the busybody that they might refine and fine tune, what they're focusing on. So like you said, they have more fun. So
their minds want more stimulation. So they just never slow down. They want more input.
Right.
And not a lot of processing, which is what Sagittarius is, putting it together,
Right.
So, well, here's one I think it's going to change a lot. Cancers. Purpose.
Oh, cancers. Well, the sole purpose for cancers is learning how to balance emotions clearly, right? And understanding how to really put emotions in check and to be expressive in a balanced way initially. So, I think that I find a lot of cancers, their theme has been to speak up in a sense. That's why I think they're highly emotional people on the soul level. They've been needing to speak up and, to come to terms with their emotions. But I really feel like that, this stage for Cancers, they need to understand now how to compress, how to kind of like sit within now, like not start dictating and, be concerned about how their people are treating them, more so about how they actually are treating themselves. So I think it's really kind of a unification of self-love for Cancers, not in the way that they're getting self-love from, attention from others, but self-love of what they're doing for themselves and then becoming a star in that right.
It's funny, if you know the Cancer chart, it explains a lot of them. I think up until now, their primary motive is to feel, and so most of them were feeling other people. They weren't feeling themselves. So ironically, Cancers don't know how they feel.
Right.
And then you talk about, their head games, like, well, they have Virgo in the third house. They're Virgo thinkers. They're emotionally sensitive Virgo thinkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what, so they do spend most of their time in their mind trying to rationalize and overanalyze what they're feeling. So that's kind of weird. I think in the last 50 years, their mission was to be married. Like, I swear to God, I mean, it was to be coupled, to be married, to be in that, to support that person, to be there for that person, just to take it to like almost a romantic, Rosie Rivets kind of like way. But I think their new purpose is, you've got a job outside the house, a big one. Like
right.
We need you. Like, you don't realize you're the only ones that know how to do this shit. You know what I mean? And they're actually good nurturers because they are sensitive and they're good at it. They just haven't nurtured themselves. They have Libra in the fourth house, in the house of home and family. So it's like, so at home and family, it's Libra. It's wishy-washy. It's not stable. It's not fair at times. Scales can flip, and that's okay. Not really a grounding for a stable emotion. So
Right.
I think they're also going to have purpose in the world. They're going to find places in the world they didn't know they were appreciated.
And that's why I say star in their own right, because they might realize, hey, I'm actually shining, and I'm not needing the validation, and not anybody to tell me. I feel like I'm in my purpose, their rhythm. So a lot of Cancerians will find their rhythm, their true rhythm.
Yeah,
not dependent on anybody else.
Well, in that combination of emotional sensitivity and brilliant intellect with Virgo, it's like they can precisely, diagnose something.
Yeah.
Really the clarity of it immediately.
Oh, they're still, yes, very intuitive Cancers.
Oh, too much. All right. So then it moves on to your favorite, Leo.
I love my Leos. Well, I've been saying this for a while too. I feel like a flip-flop of Leo and Aquarius energy, kind of swapping roles here. So I do feel like Leos were I met a guy named Leo, and he said that Leo meant like loving everyone equally or something, or I forgot how he said it, but it was sweet how he said it. But anyways, I think initially Leo's job was to lead, was to take charge, was to, express consistency, loyalty to passion and to leadership in their own right. But I think the tides is turning now to where Leos have to understand how to love and cuddle up and be in more of a passive role and taking a back seat on things and letting others lead so they can be inspired. Now it's time for the Leos to be inspired and to be a supportive role, because that will help others to lead as well with different voices, which will be the Aquas in a sense. So I think, I find a lot of Leos that I do know and that I'm seeing, but also cyclically have been seeing too. Leos coming being very heart focused and being more humble and more homey. If you want to call it that.
Yeah. They're kind of, I guess, stepping down from the spotlight a little bit, giving up their thrones and things like that. Their old motive was, to be loved, and really they had to learn to self-love. To be loved was their primary motive. Their secret motive was probably that they want to have sex with you. They're not telling you, so they actually are always playing that way, but acting like they're, hard to get. So they're a diamond, that sparkles a lot, a jewel in that sense. And they really do sparkle because they have love just pouring out of them easily.
Yeah.
But you're right. What I think the truth is, if you ever date a Leo, quite cold at home, like quite cold. Like, yeah, it's like, when they're off stage, they're not the same lion. And so I think now what's happening is, you're right, that because of Pluto in the Aquarius, they're kind of realizing how they've been a bitch to themselves. And so that's hard to take. They're very pride. They have a lot of pride. But that's also humbling them and realizing what quality really is, I think, in love. So they're learning a higher love quality. I guess they're learning like high vibration love.
Yeah.
They're learning high vibration. They're actually probably leading us. They're leading us to the next love right now in their exploration.
Yeah, well, I think they're allowing the Aquas to lead in that regard, because we're finding our expression of love. So now we can, because I as you know, Christopher, it's a cycle. Then the Aquas lead, then the other. So we're all going to lead, in a different, depending on the wheel. So it just so happens that's the current cycle is going to Aqua, and so I think that's wonderful. Virgos are next, huh? We're going to Virgo.
Wow.
Lead off of Virgos. Being a Virgo rising myself.
What's their secret motive? I would say we're coming from,
Virgos had to structure things for people. Like there's a lot of Virgos that are teachers, a lot of Virgos that are kind of like setting the trends for certain things behind the scenes, in a sense, not so much being the forefront of leadership. And a lot of Virgos have been misunderstood, right, in a sense. But it was to kind of bring structure, but also the out of the box thinking for people unconsciously. But now I feel like it's time for Virgos to start leading and take that action of leadership. And I feel they will be understood now. Virgos will be more understood. Their voices will be kind of more digestible for people. So I think Virgos can now just be themselves and allow that, I would say, confirmation and validation from others to just allow themselves to be their own star and build themselves up too. Try to be quick with that one.
I think a Virgo is 2 Leos in one with step 11. So that's a whole nother dialogue. It's really true. It's 2 Leos inside one body. I don't think that they were necessarily misunderstood. I think they were too fucking complicated.
Same thing.
Much more complexity that the average person even thought about, so
right.
They were creating all their hiccups for getting abandoned, it was all by them, and they're kind of overdoing it, I think, in most cases, but their old motive, I think, was to heal. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, their core motive was always to fix it, to heal, to make it better, and that's like a true spirit in them. And they'll hate you and they'll still do your dishes. Like, hey, you motherfucker, I hate you. Like they, you know what I mean? Like they'll still do your dishes and they're hating.
That's
right. Then I think their motive was actually true love. I saw a lot of Virgos just want to be swept off their feet. And it's like, you can't sweep off the feet of a Virgo. Like they saw you coming a mile back. There's no surprise romance shit.
Right.
So that's hard.
Right.
They're unfulfilled and unhappy. And it's like, yeah, no one who can get a rose in here without you thinking I'm, cheating. You know what I mean? Like Virgos, like, start putting all the data together. And but I think the new motive of Virgos is, I think, to recognize that they are the embodiment of God. That they actually, they're Leo in the 12th house. They're a star according to God. At the end of the day, they're showing off for God is what they're doing. And I don't think they ever give themselves the credit as being able to talk about God or be expression of God. I think they're actually, the earth is realizing it's quite heavenly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so in a sense, you're kind of saying that Virgos will have more of a different phase of enlightenment, I would say, right? Too, in a sense of how they see the world and how they see themselves in that sense.
Well, yes. I mean, it's always different for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think Virgo rising, yeah.
I think they're going to find themselves on a purpose you just wouldn't have thought before. That's the thing about them. They're so aware of who they are that they, and they like lots of weird things because they're aware of everything. So they find something unique, they hoard it because it's like,
right.
They know what common is. They've analyzed it 3-4 times and they know everything in here is boring, right?
Yeah.
They pick up these weird things, and I think they've never just let themselves be all the weird things. I think that's where they'll turn, but I think they'll find themselves having a real impact on people. They always do.
I think you and I read this probably the last time. I remember saying something. I feel this too, that somehow Virgos will be able to ground spirituality, right? Like making spirituality, bring it down to earth and digestible for themselves, but also for other people too. So I think that's where I find another kind of expansion, of enlightenment for Virgos in that sense too. Oh yeah, this spirituality actually does make sense. It's grounded in reality. Great. So they can have more of an illumination in that sense for themselves and for others.
Yeah. I mean, Pisces are karma. It comes through relationships. So ultimately, they can't get their intuition because it's just full of pain. It's just driven a lot of people and past life personalities. And so their intuition is now opening up really strong because they've cleared all that relationship stuff out. And
right.
So they really are like working on both sides now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going fast here. We're a little over time, but it's worth it. Libras, right? Libras, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me kind of see. Libras were, I really feel Libra's intention was to explore, right? Too. I heard the explore in a sense, the previous purpose, and exploring to like find a neutrality to exploration and dichotomy and I feel like there's a mode of overindulgence too that I feel like that was necessary for them to participate in to find common ground, right? But I really feel like there's a need for Libras now to express the rights, and this is going to sound off, and this might sound really weird, but I'm just kind of feeling this right now, that they have to understand the goods of consumption and the bads of consumption. For some reason, I think there needs to be a proper balance and fine line now with consumption and the healthy words of that and then negative sides of such. So I really feel they're going to find more balance in physicality for some reason, and understanding how to embrace the physical. I feel like is going to be their new spiritual conquest with Libras, and not so fluffy duffy, not so philosophical, not so hypothetical. I really find they're going to be very more grounded in their physical experiences and their physical pleasures, actually. So almost finding balance with consumption. I was really odd and left field for me that came in, but that came in randomly for some reason.
Maybe honest. I mean, I think original Libras were always to restore balance. I mean, that's their core thing, is to restore balance. And so the thing is, they're kind of inside out people in the sense that they restore balance by sacrificing. So they give themselves in order to make it better for another, and then they find themselves without. Then they get upset that it's not reciprocated, and so that method hasn't worked. And the other thing is that they always say they are in astrology. Libra is I receive. You take energy, and you're the inhale. But they really want to receive, but they give.
Right.
That's the thing. Their whole thing is to give. When you really want to receive, so there's like some sort of weird game with Libras where they thought they had to give to receive, right? And I think that's over now. I think they're realizing it's over. But there's a moment of kind of panic and fear because they've always been so useful to others, and so they're not quite sure how to receive without being useful to others. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever kind of thing. So I think they're kind of lost there. But I think there was something that twisted those two. Aries and Libra were sort of twisted in the sense of they weren't always operating. Really being honest with themselves, I think, to some degree. But what's interesting is they're kind of trading sides now. I mean, I see Libras like toughening up and starting to make it about them, and being honest about it. I mean, a lot of Libras were about them, but they had to sneak it or hide it for some reason. Like, it's almost like, not talking about, booze to your, alcohol husband. Like, we won't talk about that. But in reality, she's having one after dinner. So it's weird. Aries have been too tough, never considering the other person. And now they're being very considerate of the other person, I've noticed. And, and I'm like, is this real? Like kind of thing. So that's what I mean by,
that's what I say about, Aries can be more heart focused and latching on to that because they're going to find like that consideration, like, oh, it isn't just me. It's others too, and understanding that. And so, but I think Libras is saying it isn't just them, it's me too. I think Libras will be saying now too. And that's why Spirit probably wanted me to use the word consumption because, they might find, they've been overindulging lately on an imbalance, but there's a reason to. It's like, accept that you should be consuming to a certain degree and enjoying your physical pleasures too. And not just being all in mind.
They would give up too much and they overcompensate. To make it back in balance.
Right.
I think Libra, the secret for you, I think, is like when you just say to yourself, I want this, and I'm so fucking fair, I can go negotiate this today. And you just come to the person and go like, I want this. How about, 2 for 1? You just start negotiating and being honest that you want something. I think you'll be in the most powerful place there is, because you actually are so flexible, you probably get everything you want. If you just were upfront about your motives, which for some, I don't know where it happened in history, but suddenly, they had to be the quiet little one, kind of thing.
What I want to say too, in addition, like they also need to understand that doesn't need to be a reason all the time why they desire something. You could it's okay to desire something. It doesn't have to be a blueprint. It doesn't have to be a reason. It's like, I just want this. That's it.
I think it's also, they balance power. They don't have it. It's not their power. Usually they must always hang off someone else's power. And that's what they do. They balance power. But you can't have power if you're going to be the balancer, right? It's kind of an equation. So as a result, I think, there's been some, trickiness and control stuff, to have their power when, and so you just have weird deals and we'll see. But I have high hopes. I think ultimately for them, what we're just to say what they'll see next is like, they're about to now really get intimate and really be honest. And so we're going to see a really authentic Libra that just tells you like it is here any second.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree with that. Yep. Scorpio, well, the previous purpose. I think they're, let me channel on this one too, because I'm not so knowledgeable either about Scorpio's previous purpose or mission. But I really feel. So the first word I heard was like charisma, charm, right? And they were able to break molds or break patterns, make people think differently about themselves just by naturally being around people. So I think their natural essence was to kind of like they would be reclusive, but just by being themselves, they start recognizing they can help and assist people, right? But I think that's wonderful, and I think they might start realizing, I've been effective with people. I've had an influence of people indirectly. I shine kind for some reason with people. So now I feel like they're going to be more attached to receiving love and be more connected to love, like true love, real love, committed love, stable love, you know? But I think that's their new mission, is to kind of soften up a bit, and not to be so, transactional, so to speak. And I don't mean transactional in a negative sense, because I feel like there's always been a reluctance of, diving fully into love, right? Not to say they don't want that. There's always been this kind of independence. I feel like they're going to break the bounds of that. And then I really feel Scorpio's really finding the true essence of love for themselves at a new peak for some reason.
I agree. The astrology agrees. I think the primary motive of Scorpio has always been to fuck. Like they want to have sex. That was their primary motive. And,
Yeah, there you go. The fuck.
They've learned how to get anyone's pants off in 2 seconds. So they're really good at that. And I think they got them a lot of places, both the women and the men. Frankly, I think a Scorpio woman's never asked permission or anything. She just does what she wants. Like, so if she's taking you home, she wants you. You know what I mean? Like dragging you into the lair. But I think that changed actually to be important. I think they wanted to be important for a long time. And I think important for the wrong reasons, actually, because I don't think they had tried to be important before in history very much. And now suddenly they want to be important. And so they'd overshoot, they'd oversting, they'd see things as a threat that weren't necessarily a threat. It was just their newness to it. And they're certainly not like charming, right? Scorpios are not charming by chance. I mean, is Scorpio charming? It's another rising sign or something. They don't charm. I mean, sometimes they do, like the pants off you, but most of the time it's pretty much no. You just get what you get, right? But now I think their new motive, you're right, about love. The thing is, when they love, they give everything, so they're scared of it because they've been hurt so many times. But I think what they really want now is to make a difference. I think they really want to make a difference. I think they're like coming back, and their heart really wants to make a difference. They want, at the end of their life, they want to go, yeah, I did this shit.
And that's what I mean by true love too, because I wanted to like add to that, saying it's not just with relationships, like even with how they're expressing their jobs, how they're expressing things, like they're really falling in love in truly with what they're doing,
right?
And I think it's like you said, depending on the signs, because like I find a lot of Scorpios, men and women that I've met, have been very charming. So I guess it depends on the person, because or the sign, because the person might find different attributes charming or not. I have found them to be very charming and alluring for some reason, just naturally. So at least for me. So, but and maybe other people as well. What's that?
The ones you draw on. I mean, they can be the whole gamut. It's like whatever they're adding to their chart.
Right.
The Scorpio, depends on how like sophisticated they get your pants off, kind of thing. But yeah. All right, we're moving along. Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, I really feel like it was I feel like Sagittarius out of the box thinking prior, like, was there to inspire people through their creativity, through their out of the box thinking. But for some reason, I feel like changing, because I feel Sagittarius now are going to be like, need to be grounded in reality now. I think a lot of that grounding in reality means is that, they're going to have to be led a little bit more and less going with the flow, and more kind of be more decisive and more decision making, right? And so this could be wonderful for planning things. It'd be wonderful for building a family. This could be wonderful for like really kind of building the physical, tangible expressions for Sagittarius if they're bring themselves back down to reality. Especially need to focus on financial growth. They'd be great at doing so. So I think they're going to be less influential by their out of the box thinking, and more kind of down gridded in reality to create even more security within the balance of out of the box and grounded in reality. So I see a lot of that change with Sag.
That is indeed happening according to their astrology. They're getting grounded, and I think what's really grounded is they started healing their family issues, and then suddenly they had no reason to run away from home. So they're real screwed. They all had bad families. Their karma comes from the fourth house, and so they all went running. I mean, the reason why they go traveling and never stop is because they don't want to ever go home again. There's something they're running from. So I think their primary motive was actually before was to explore.
Yeah,
they want to try shit. They want to try everything twice, also, and sort of put in their database of archetypes in their head, and and they're always liked anywhere they go, and they have joyful energy, and they're almost always in a good mood. So like almost always, but then their motive, I think, began to be see themselves as like the professor, the wise one, and that was kind of like their thing for a century now, is that they're the smart ones. They're know-it-alls, but they play it off as I know nothing. Like, so they play like they feel like they're an intellectual master, but they play like a jack, master of none, a jack of all master.
Yeah.
But I feel now, you're right. I think it's almost like they're actually gonna like sit down and maybe have sex with just one person, and maybe get close. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're settling down. It's like they're, so to speak, where they've been touring the world all these lifetimes on ships and stuff. We're all at little log cabins, barely surviving. Now they're gonna go do a log cabin thing. We're gonna go tour. You know.
And build and really physically build and create structure, so yeah, and I think it's a beautiful thing, for them to do that, so yeah.
Great, have me out for dinner. Capricorns. I mean,
Well, Capricorns went from being the protector, the structured, the I'm not in the spotlight, I'm not smart enough to do what I need to do, so I think they were really challenged to understand their capabilities, right? And so I think that they're going to be merging from either being the protector, the one that strategizes, the supportive role, that I'm not in the spotlight energy, to actually becoming in the spotlight. I think a lot of Capricorns will find, as I kind of teased in the beginning with the lightning round, that Capricorns will find a creative expression. They're going to find ways, and creative expression doesn't mean art. It also means how they go about doing certain modalities of work, to be more creative in how they're doing the work. And I feel like Capricorns will get more recognition. And I feel Capricorns finding that sense where they actually really are being validated and then validating themselves. So that I feel a good change with Capricorns in that regard.
well, I think their primary motive was to control. Absolutely need control.
Protector, yeah. That's
Yeah,
the protector light.
That's nice. That's a nice spin. It's downright. I'm in charge. You're not. And they have that attitude with you, even when they're like you're equal married. It's just like I'm your. I am your. And they just say that and they get away with it half the time. You're like, oh, that fucking shit worked. Like it's not even authentic. No, you know what I mean? Like they try kind of schemes and things. They became a little too. They became a little too drunk in power. I think in the last 100 years. To some degree, and so a lot of the reasons why things didn't change is because they don't change. They're just not even like stay that way. But Pluto just kicked the shit out of them this lifetime, and they were forced to like let go and look at other things, and they were kind of dizzy for a while and then kind of humble for a while, which is cool to see. You know what I mean? Like they were always like better than honestly, and so they got kind of cool around COVID and stuff like that. But now I think they're getting really into gear because Aquarius is their second house, and they just realized, oh my God, I can rule the clean energy sector too. So they're all racing, I think, the clean energy to be like, dominant there. But I think because it's clean and all this other stuff, it comes from philosophy of not like monopoly, but more like, sorry, no, I'm kidding. More like parties. Yeah. But they're coming, they are new age. I meet more and more Capricorns who are leading in the new age and just taking this raw talent and taking us where we need to go. Yeah.
Because, and I find that, that Capricorns had this like, the in control energy, the in charge energy, like the protector energy, but they were very insecure beyond all that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like their new leading is because they're not secure anymore. So it comes from a better place, a more creative space, right? So I feel like that's going to create a better spotlight energy for the Caps,
They still don't know how they survived. You know what I mean? Like, they don't understand how it all worked out because they were, they're betting against themselves.
Yes.
But what you're saying is like they're the best bluffers. Oh my God.
Totally. Yes.
Like I've never had someone lie to me so professionally.
Yeah.
Than Capricorn. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Someone write that? It's like, Jesus, you thought about that a long time. And their house of love is sex. So that's their dirty secret, is that they, that's where they get most of their lovins behind closed doors, So they're just as wild as we are, right? But I think the new motive for them is to go higher. Like they've been on the mountain, now they want to know what's above it,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Now,
moving on to Aqua, right?
Mm-hmm. Can you do yourself? Are you okay?
There we go. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I also have a lot of, again, to collect read on Aquas, but also, let me see if women, because I always feel Aqua women and men are different to a certain degree, but I will summarize this for time. I think our purpose was to really feel misunderstood, right? We need to feel misunderstood. We need to understand that, we're thinking outside the box all the time. And then we went to a period of isolation because of such, and then feeling like, okay, well, that I'm detached from everybody. And then now I think a lot of that, energy's changed to where like now people need our perspective, that what we've been learning has been actually preparing us to lead actually. And so people are now gravitating to more of that Aqua energy. So I find it's time for Aquarius now to get the spotlight now and to be in the spotlight. And I don't say spotlight to be celebrity. I say spotlight in a sense of to actually lead by example and for us to express that now. And we have a duty to, right? And so I find a lot of Aquas probably will be more that Leo energy, leading, getting the spotlight, getting the recognition that they've been maybe trying to get, if not trying to get before, but getting what they've deserved moving forward.
Yes, I agree with all of that. I feel that the old days, Aqua wanted to, their primary motive was actually to be alone. Like they really were for a long time wanted to be alone. I think that's a condition of how we picked them up in this century, where they had been very magical in, you know, Atlantis times, and they tried to like play that shit in the churches, and they got killed and martyred, and all these bad things happened.
Yep, that was me.
Showed the music, they showed the magic and all this stuff. So they revealed their magic. They went way within, and poor me. And then I think they got so used to being in that they actually started to get triggered by love. Like love would freak them out. Like they, you know, the thing that they needed most, they started like kind of reacting to, breaking down. Aquaman having all those affairs. Like Aquaman, you know, he's meeting an old guy in the bar. He's Aquaman. You know what I mean? He's just avoided the love thing. It's too terrifying. I think they're afraid of surrendering to it. But what's happened is, I think, you know, as metaphysics have gone up, you know, Aquariuses are being lit up. I mean, they are metaphysicians. And truth be told, their energy was actually put to sleep for the last 20,000 years, pretty much. Like, the vibrations are opening up. It's like new bandwidth on a cell phone. There's like new bandwidth. And Aqua's like, tune into that bandwidth. We don't. And so they're lighting up right now. So what's happening to their powers, remembering who they are, and I think realizing that, you know, that love is going to be a necessary component for their power. Like, the last time you guys had power, I think you were cold bastard wizards. I don't think you were very loving. But now I think we're going to have the best of all. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at my change, and just, you know, since the age of Aquarius has spawning Aquarius, I'm living with my partner, moved in with my partner. I'm in, you know, committed relationship. I'm settled down. Like, what? You know, single for 10 years. Well, where did that come out of in the past 4 years? Right. So, you know, big change, and I've been noticing a lot of other Aquas, you know, settling down and wanting that kind of, you know, nestling up and domestic partnership. So, yeah, a lot of great change. But I think there's a lot of Aquarius rising to make change, and it's a funny thing, Christopher. I don't want to be too long-winded here, but, you know, I don't feel like I'm doing it because I want to. I feel because I'm doing it because I have to. You know what I'm saying? And the have to isn't sluggish. It feels like I feel like it's an obligation for me to stand up and to, you know, be online and do all these things. And so I think it's a soul rising, a soul purpose of Aquas for Aquas.
Yes, I mean, I think Aquas pretty much are the fabric of reality based on the I belong consciousness, and belonging comes down to the heart. And so, yes, you're the telephone poles of the future in that sense, where I think you help us bounce off of you or be attracted to you. I think what your secret wish is to belong. You want to belong. You want to feel like it's your family, these are your crowd, this is your pack. Like, you want that kind of like that pack, basically, that just never, you know, that just gets along so well. You love that, the synergy, which we call the Age of Aquarius, is that feeling.
Right.
And then we have probably the most change is the Pisces.
Yeah, see, my reads on Pisces is always weird to me, and I don't know why I always get. So you might have to like correct me on this a little bit, because every time I read Pisces, I always get scattered energy, but maybe that's the read, right? But I feel like the one thing I'm encouraged to say, like, the Pisces starting to recognize they don't know it all. I feel like, right, and that's not a bad trait, because I think that Pisces may have been very, what's the word? Not confident, but very able. Very able, right? And so I think they let the ableness get to their head too much, where it put them in a box. But I think that a lot of what I'm finding with Pisces is they're going to be more fluid now, and less of that regimen and I know it all energy, and just kind of like looking above, getting outside the box, letting life be more of a flow for them. So that's kind of the evolution I find with Pisces, is actually being that watery, liquidy energy and being in flow, and understanding that, you know, that is control too. You know, being regimented and being right all the time, there's also control of understanding that you could go with the flow as well. And so, so it might even be more of a spiritual awakening for Pisces too, in that retrospect, and maybe reaching different levels of consciousness for Pisces, you know. And that, of course, I say that to be in our spiritual perspective, but, you know, someone who might not be spiritual might start realizing, hey, I'm a little intuitive, you know, a lot of that kind of, I would say, igniting with Pisces. So I might,
it's relative to where they start. I mean, the old Pisces, secret motive was to get away with it. That's what they felt guilty. They're born feeling guilty. They have all the karma in their being. They all go relive that karma and do the bad thing again at least once, so they remember, like, oh, that was the bad thing I'm guilty for. And so I think, you know, they try to get away with it basically at first, and not be caught. But then they manifest similar things and that sort of stuff. Then I think they want to just go on, like, get. At one point, they just want to survive. Like, I mean, me knowing them, they just were kind of like so tired and so over it. And this is before Saturn hit. I mean, this is, I don't, you know, I'm not quite sure that they just wanted the will to live at some point. I think that was them finding their spirituality at its lowest bottom. But now, I actually haven't seen Pisces very much, but I haven't been attracted to them very much. But they used to be very arrogant, really. Like,
right, like they know it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they said psychically they would know, but, you know, Einstein was a Pisces, and he just downloaded it, and he acted like he was a genius. And so that's been kind of the Pisces model for a long time. It's like, no, downloading it up is not enough. You know, you do something with it or whatever. But I think what's interesting is Pisces are here to close out the age of Pisces. Like that age is not over. It's got to be closed out.
Right.
It's got that final Jesus Christ kind of moment. And I
Right.
think their calling is now they have one final spiritual thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing they've ever wanted to do. And I hope they take delight and have fun. I hope they do.
I feel like they will. I think they're going to be like forced to, and get out of that kind of like I know it all structured regimen until like I'm finding my intuition, I'm finding more fun, I'm finding more flow. So it's gonna be, of course, gonna be a process, but I feel like there's gonna be direction and movement in that direction.
The direction is in like circle 8s and 0s, and like it's never a straight line with them. And they have Libra in the 8th house, so they try on every flavor. They've got so many past life lovers. They have like they're known to whore around, right? Pisces, but I don't think that's really the case. I think it's that they have so much catching up to do. I mean, your Pisces
Right.
lifetime, like, all these past lives coming for you're at the end of a lot of Pisces. When you're a Pisces, you just had a long time series of past lives, and you're coming to like a spiritual conclusion in that life.
Yeah.
Everyone you dated in Rome, everyone like there's a lot of numbers, like as far as how many you're gonna touch and connect with and remind and all this sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
Pisces, kiss them while you got them, as I say, because they may be on to somewhere else in a minute now, So
It's
well, all
funny,
right, I think that's good.
in my personal life, I always say the Pisces, like the minglers. It was like the mingle. I always used to say that in my personal life, about the Pisces.
They do,
And
and
I've had a lot of
they
Pisces
feel
friends,
you.
too. Yeah.
They feel you. They feel your pain. They feel it. They know how bad it is.
Yep.
And you believe them. So
Yeah.
pretty powerful. Well, this turned out to be a cool special, man. We'll probably cut these up and have them available for people to watch.
Yeah.
Interesting perspective on signs. I'm glad we did it. You've got a show tonight, right? Or tomorrow night, excuse me.
Tomorrow night? Yeah, we ran the promo. Just rewind it back if you guys forgot. Yeah, tomorrow, Dimensions of Spirit. We'll talk different levels, so give you more key insight of what you're actually tapping into. So people question like bad entities, good entities. So we'll get to the different levels and live readings tomorrow and scottchrispm.com. All that great stuff.
Awesome, man. Always a good time.
You are turning how old tomorrow? And you're
I'm step 52 this year, so I'm step 52.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah. And I want to say unite the light. Please come, guys. We need your help. If you're a light worker, it's time to organize because we won't have time. I'm telling you, shift hits the fan in June, so we're going to be distracted. We got to get each other's numbers and stay connected. So that's at unitethelight.love. You can show up in Tennessee and Nashville with us, or you can go online and watch it with chatting and everything else. So you'll see Scott here as a part of it too. So thank you. All right, folks, do not put up with the shift show. Remember to lead out loud.
Lead out loud, guys.
Wow. So we're at like 125. That was our spring special.
See, that's the good thing about streaming. We don't have to set to a show. There's no show coming after us, so we can allot for that. We can do it. We can go.
Well, I think 12 sign shows are a lot. Like you don't want to you want everyone to get the same amount of candy. You know what I mean? You don't want to leave you behind. Right. And if you had two people, it's twice as much analyzing, right? So.
Right. Oh, I just kept saying to myself, 2 sentences, Scott. 2 sentences, Scott. Only 2 sentences, Scott. I try to keep it short that way so we can move on.
And like 2 pages. 2 pages.
The world is starting to catch on to human design. But what is it? Through combining astrology, the I Ching, the Vedic chakra system, and the Kabbalah, human design provides you with action-oriented strategies to align with your unique energy.
Are you tired of the same old thing? Register today to get a code for 25% off a human design report or a free report with the purchase of a session.
Welcome to the rest of your life. Welcome to human design.